Please could I ask if there's any team news for us?
No, I don't think there's any. We've got one or two knocks and niggles. But Kurt Zouma's the biggest fear that we think we might lose Kurt for a few weeks. But we're still sort of assessing his ankle at the moment.
Okay. Can I ask you about last night's game between Leicester City and Everton? How much attention were you paying to that?
I didn't pay any attention to it because my telly wasn't working, so I had no satellite signal, so I never ended up getting to watch the game. So I was going through my phone, so unfortunately I didn't get to see the game, no.
I mean, what are your thoughts on the score? What do you think it means for you guys?
Well, it's nothing to do with me, to be honest. You know, we can only concentrate on our games and look at what we have to do. We've got a lot of big games coming up. We've got a big European night coming up in a week's time as well. So, you know, we've got a lot of good games coming.
Starting with Manchester City, tell us how you're feeling heading into that. How do you approach a fixture like that?
Well, you approach it the same as you would approach any fixture, but obviously we know we're playing against a very good team. But we've been to Etihad a lot. It's been hard to win, but I've got to say we've given them really good games when we've played them, and the games have been close. So I'm hoping that we can put up another good show. Just
a word on Erling Haaland, who we know reached the 50-goal mark at the weekend. How do you go about stopping him?
Well, it's a good question. I don't think MD's probably get the answer. I think that would be probably the way it is. I think nobody's been able to make it hard enough. But I think he's sort of the icing in the cake for them. I think they've got so many good players who can create chances, and he's such a good finisher that you know, if you get him in those right positions, he's capable of scoring. But I think they've got a great team, and I think that's topped off by Haaland.
And finally from me, we're hearing this morning that Leeds are looking at making a change in their management. I just wonder, what are your thoughts on that, if you have any thoughts on it, with just 4 games left for them to go?
I don't really have great thoughts on it because I'm sure there's other people speak better about it than me. Yeah, I'm always sorry if it's true, but I don't know if you've got that right yet. I'm not sure if it's exactly right, so probably better not to comment on it. Thank you.
Roger, please. Hi David, can I just go back to Kurt Zouma and the nature of the injury? I think there were fears that it might be a break. Is it ligaments and?
Yeah, it is.
You
yeah.
said out for a few weeks, but do you think if you were to reach the final, he'd be back in time for that?
I wouldn't want to say just now because I'm not the medical man, but Kurt's a bit different. Kurt's incredibly good at getting himself ready and back fit, so we're hoping that he'll be fine.
I spoke to Lucas Fabianski yesterday, and he was talking about the Upturn of form that you had recently, and he was saying that for a lot of the season, it might have been something in the back of the player's mind that because of the last couple of seasons, the 6th and 7th, that eventually results would come together and you'd pull yourselves away. And he said there was a sort of a wake-up call when they started seeing games running out. Have you noticed a sort of change among the players that perhaps they thought that it would all come together, but they've had to maybe put something in a bit extra in the last few weeks?
Well, I felt that we're a good enough team to improve our results. I've always felt that. I think really since probably after the World Cup, our run of results have been much better. Recently we've had a very good run. Obviously the last week been difficult for us with a couple of games that just didn't quite go our way. But the players have been trying to get back at it. They're doing a good job. We did a week or so ago. We had probably one of the best weeks we've had for a while. So we're trying to build on that, and we're trying to continue that. Our performances against Liverpool was good, not so much on Saturday against Palace, but overall I've been pleased with how the players have been performing.
You played City on the opening day, and you talked about Haaland before. When you saw him, I think we all knew about him, you know, coming into the season, but to score 50 goals, has that taken even you by surprise?
Well, I think MD to come into the Premier League and do so well as that is incredible. But as I said before, I think they've actually got a team which can give this player great opportunities, and what he is he's a terrific finisher, whether it's his head or with his feet, or you know, running in behind or scoring inside the box. He's certainly got all the attributes as a really top goal scorer, but I think he's actually got a team behind him which quite often make him and get a lot of things. I wouldn't say they make it easy for him, but they try to make it as easy as they can for him to score.
You've been playing sort of every 3 or 4 days, and that's how it's going to be for the rest of the season. How much of a test is that for you as a manager now, just working out exactly where your players are in terms of energy levels and so on, and picking the right team? And do you have that option to be able to look at those energy levels?
Well, you never know. You know, I didn't expect it on Saturday morning that maybe our energy levels were going to be low, and it showed that. I think there is games where it will happen. You know, I see it even with the best teams, Man City as well. No, they've got a lot of games, so they live somewhere in their journey where their energy levels are low and not maybe as good as maybe they've been in the past. But you know, the demands what the broadcasters are putting on the clubs and the teams at the moment is huge, and because of that, I think that there's always a chance that maybe you could be slightly undercooked.
I think the Opta stats are suggesting West Ham have only got something like a 0.7% chance of relegation. Were you happy to see that? I mean, what do you think it will take between now and then just to make doubly sure that that's a 0% chance? Are you looking at
well, I only concentrate on what we can do, and we have to try and make sure that we win the next games. The most important thing is football always is the same. Try and win the next game, see what it takes you. If we get the points, then great. If we don't, then we move on again.
Thanks, David. Yeah.
David, it looks like Man City are certainly favourites to go on and win the treble. If they do, would you say this is the best club side you've seen in your, if not lifetime, then certainly your managerial career?
Look, I think the Premier League has had some incredible seasons. Every sort of year or two, we always look. There's been great years. We know. You think not long ago, Leicester City won the Premier League, and you look at Sir Alex's teams, you know, and then the rise of Man City, and I go back to Arsene Wenger as well, and the way they all worked in the Premier League. So I think to sort of say, yeah, this is the best one, I think would be a little bit unkind to all the others, because I think there was some great seasons. Are they the best team? They're certainly one of the best teams, if not the best, but they are certainly one of them. And I think it's another exciting Premier League season. I think Arsenal have been incredible this year, the way they've played and pushing, and still are pushing all the way. And who knows, may yet overcome Man City.
You say exciting Premier League season. The battle at the bottom, though, is the one that is encapsulating everybody. Is this a bit of a free hit for you, because no one expects you to go and win this season?
I don't think any football game's a free hit. I've never thought that. I think every game's important. And as you rightly said, there's a big battle at the bottom end of the league, so we're certainly not going to give up any game. We've got to have to go out there and try and put in the best performance we possibly can.
You touched on the managers earlier, because it's expected there's another change on the way in the Premier League. There's been so many across the Premier League and the EFL. All season, your owners have completely backed you, and you've spoken before about your gratitude for that. Has this shown in a way what's happened to West Ham this season, especially to stay up, which I expect them to do, that probably is the way forward more than sacking managers once, twice, 3 times a season?
Well, probably from where I come from, I think it's good that managers, and I'm a manager, so I want to stand up for all the managers, really. You know, they all want an opportunity, they all want to give themselves a chance. But it's a big part of the game now that managers are losing their jobs much quicker. I think I said before is I don't know if all the changes have been successful. Maybe a lot of them have been. I don't know how many have been successful, but all the managers who've come into jobs, I'm wishing them good luck, and that they do well in their roles, and they want to be given a chance to be successful. But if you're going to keep chopping and changing, I feel as if it wouldn't be the right thing for football clubs. The continuity, stability, the growth, what you're trying to get at football clubs. Maybe the football clubs now have got too much money, and they can afford to keep changing all the time and changing the direction what clubs are going in. But again, I'm not here to speak about the other clubs, because they'll know what they do. But what I do know from being a manager, that you need to be given a chance. You need good people behind you. You need good support, because every manager will have bad times. There's very, very rarely do you go through a career or a season without having bad times, and when you do, you need people behind you to support you.
Because you've been here 3.5 years now, and you're on the verge of, who knows, this season you could even possibly lift the European trophy for West Ham. Only the third manager that would lift the trophy for this club. In terms of that, you look and you think to yourself, the backing that you've always had from the board, if you don't get that backing, you'll never get that chance anywhere. you or any other
Yeah.
manager to?
Let's be fair, I'll tell you what, as a manager you need to be lucky. You need to be lucky to have good owners and people who support you, as I said, when you're not doing so well. And through my career I've been really fortunate. I've had really good chairmen and men with distinction who don't buckle when the call comes. And thankfully I've had that through my career. But yes, we're one of 2 teams left in European football in the UK. We've got a semi-final to play. And it's something which I think it'd be terrific if we could get to a final with West Ham.
Finally, you mentioned the word lucky there. If I might mention that you've been very unlucky in the last week with VAR calls. You're hoping that, obviously you're hoping that turns around for you at some stage soon. Have you lost a little bit of faith in VAR in the last week?
Well, yeah, I would have to say yes on that, yeah. But I would say that you're right. Hopefully, you hope it doesn't go all that one way. You hope that it changes round for you a little bit. The decisions might go in your favour a little bit, but the last couple have been pretty hard to take, I've got to say.
Have you had letters of apology yet?
No, I've not asked either, and probably wouldn't expect any either. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Cheers.
Sorry, Nick, come on for the stand-up.
Just on that, everyone knows that everybody makes mistakes in all sort of walks of life, aren't they? But it's the key thing about something like VAR that it almost has to have a high bar, because if a referee or official makes a mistake on the field live, that's natural, isn't it? Surely to be brought in.
Yeah, to do that, yeah.
Stop.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I don't think we're actually quite sure now when VAR can intervene and when it can't. One day we think it can intervene and one day we're not so sure when it can intervene. So I just think, more importantly, I said it last week, I thought that they weren't going to give soft penalty kicks in the Premier League. And to be fair, I think for most of the season they've probably carried it out. But I'm just beginning to see soft ones coming back into it, and obviously they're completely unsure about the handball situation. So they're situations which are very hard to explain.
You said obviously you won't seek an apology or anything like that, but does it need to be better? Do you want more?
No, you answered it by saying people make mistakes, and people make mistakes, and I make mistakes, the players make mistakes. It happens in football. So we see it as a couple of mistakes, and it's nothing we can do.
Sorry, I meant just on communication with the people who run.
Well,
The body that runs it.
no.
Do you have
Well,
that?
if they're going to keep more, they're going to continue to have communication with us, then we'll look forward to that.
And just in terms of the managerial changes, there've been lots of interim managers this season for lots
Yeah,
of clubs, haven't there?
it's yeah.
What's your sort of view on that? Because I think what this is getting at,
Yeah.
stability feels like it's more important than ever, but it seems like it's harder.
Yeah.
Harder to find.
I think you're probably also seeing that how important it is to be a Premier League club and what the value of it and etc. But I don't think I can ever remember the Premier League having as many interim managers, in different roles and different changes. And again, it's not for me to look at it, but maybe a lot of the clubs might look back and say, no, did we make the right decision? Of course, they'll know the reasons for doing it behind the scenes. I don't. But some clubs might look back and think, no, maybe we didn't get that right. But ultimately, the manager's the one who takes the hit, and he's the one who loses his job.
David, on that again, I mean, you say about it's the battle to stay up, and that's coming into people's thinking, but 21 changed in the Championship as well. It's 14 at the moment in the Premier League, 21 in the Championship. Would David Moyes, the player, do you think differently these days about a career in management and coaching? And is it a realistic career now, because it's so short?
No, I think it's I'm going to say it's a really good question, because I'm really somebody who wants to champion all the young coaches. I really do. I think there's some really good young coaches coming through, and I think there's a lot of new things in football. But I think if you're going to go into an industry where you're feeling that you've got very little security, I mean, for all the managers now, I think that the first job's the hardest one, because the first job means that if you probably don't have some success in your first job, then you're struggling to get a second job, or maybe even stay in your first job, and quite often you don't get looked at again. So that means it is a difficult road. And actually, as you'll probably know, it's quite expensive to do your pro licence and go through the coaching badges. Maybe not for some of the top players, but it is maybe if you're a lower league player who was trying to have another career. But the one thing I think football has done, the industry of football is giving thousands and thousands of people jobs. There's probably more people in your industry, there's probably more papers to write for, there's more blogs to write for, then you go about grassroots coaching and there's a lot more. So football is putting an awful lot in, it's producing a lot more people in the industry. You know, we've got more people doing our PR, we've got more people in player care. So if you want to work in football, I think there's a lot of jobs in football. But the top job most people want, and probably the top job in world football, would to be a Premier League manager. And at the moment, it's making it very difficult to stay in it. But that's why we're seeing probably so many of the top managers coming here to the Premier League. But we're also seeing quite a lot who are coming in and having a short period and going away again.